Hey, what's going on, you guys? John Shea here from the No Shame Income blog. And I know for some of you, there's probably most of you who've been watching my videos are well aware of my channel. I know there's many of you out there who, potentially could come across this video and maybe you've never heard of me before. But I wanted to kind of reply to a video that I just watched this morning. I thought it really resonated with me, and I highly suggest some of you guys go and watch it. There's an entrepreneur who I've been following for a little over 5 years. His name is Alex Becker. Very successful entrepreneur. I've kind of watched his journey, have its ups and downs. I've seen the things that he's done, the products he's released, the different things that he's done throughout his whole journey. And he put out a video today called Entrepreneurship Is A LIE. So I watched this morning, and it was kind of like getting me thinking. I've had a little bit of sort of emotions in my own entrepreneurial journey, and I thought I'd kind of reply and give some of my own context and talk about this in my own version. But I highly suggest, before watching this full video, go watch this video from Becker. I'm going to leave a link below to check it out in the description. But, for me, it was something where, growing up and, doing everything, going through high school, going through college, I had these huge desires to go out and, do better things. Like, anytime I worked a job where I was very much like making a mediocre salary, I was very unhappy. I worked at a deli growing up, making $7 an hour. I worked at Filene's, stocking shelves, like putting away clothing and socks and all this other crap. And I was just very unhappy for a very long time growing up through my life and working a job. Eventually getting into a $25,000 per year salary. I was able to come out of high school doing things around computers. Like, that was my huge passion. I loved building computers. And I ended up getting this job making $25K a year, and a lot of the people there were kind of looking down on me. Like, I tried to get into a tech support role, and even though I knew I could have done it, I ended up having a very difficult time. And I also thought to myself, hey, I could really do this RMA thing. I'm going to become like the king of the service department. And what ended up happening for me was I ended up leaving that job. I connected with some friends out of college, and I got into a salary job making $40K a year doing tech support. And I was relatively sort of happy at the time when I first started. That first year, it was good. Eventually, feeling like I could do more, I went out and I spent $25,000 on a 6-month program to get myself Microsoft certified, so I could become a Microsoft certified systems engineer. So I could go and become like a sysadmin for, say, like a big business and run their whole network and understand all the ins and outs of doing all the networking for that business. So with that being said, I ended up leaving that first salary, that salary job making $40K a year doing tech support, and worked at this startup. That whole thing ended up collapsing. They just had a lot of problems, and I said, I'm going to go back to the salary job, doing the $40K a year. I got a raise, and to give brief context, I ended up working this tech support job for another 5 years. And while I was there, I started discovering things like multi-level marketing and internet marketing and being able to make money online. And that to me was really exciting, like this idea that I could start bringing in this income on the internet and getting to a point where I didn't have to be at a job. I didn't have to have a boss. And while I worked at that salary job, I remember I came in some days and we had huge issues where like problems would arise and that would affect customers. I would make mistakes that would adversely affect some of these businesses. And it was kind of just a part of how some of this stuff went. It was very complex software that I was troubleshooting. And I would actually get yelled at quite a bit by the bosses there. One of the bosses would come down on like one of the other bosses, and then she would come down on me, and it was like awful. I hated going to work. Sometimes I had a really hard time going to sleep at night because I was carrying my work home with me, and I was that affected by it that I was just simply very unhappy. So when it came to entrepreneurship, I started learning about multi-level marketing. And one of the first things that I did is I picked up this book called Personality Plus, and I'm actually going to show you guys this, and there's a reason I'm talking about all this, and bear with me. So Personality Plus kind of breaks down what they call these 4 temperaments, and I spent all this time learning about the temperaments, and what it came down to was that I kind of had a mix of these 2 temperaments, and I realized that sanguine, this is kind of like very optimistic, very lively, You could see, if you go through these, I'll leave a link to these. But they're basically the kinds of people that could become, you can see very good artists, typically good at marketing, travel, fashion. And then you've got like phlegmatic. These are people that like look for interpersonal harmony, very much like loyal people. You've got caloric. And I was kind of a mix of, I would say, probably the caloric and the melancholy. So melancholy was, these are people that, let me see if I can, here's like a more detailed. So very loyal, careful, traditional, respectful, calm, confident, orderly, persistent, patient. And, each of these kind of has like their positives and their negatives. So some very specific things that would stand out for me. I don't want to go too in detail on this to get to the point of this video, but was that I realized I was the kind of person that some things that really affect me would be like, let's say someone made fun of me for something. I would be more affected by that and like kind of carry it with me, whereas some other people would kind of brush it off and be whatever. I was very goal-oriented, task-oriented. Like I love creating to-do lists and getting like goals done and things like that. So I learned a lot about my personality, and this was important to me because I wanted to be able to go out there and learn about other people and understand how they behave, whether or not that was like a girl I was in a relationship or my family or anybody that really I was interacting with. So this was something that was very important to me as I was kind of going through my entrepreneurial phases. But where this led up to, kind of responding to Alex's video here, and what he talked about was really happiness, right? I ended up staying at that job for a long time, and I was very unhappy. I knew I didn't want to be there, and I wanted something better. I wanted to be able to get into a position where I had more control of my outcomes and not being told what to do by other people. So I ended up exploring other things online, which is when I started discovering things like podcasting, and I started interviewing people. I started figuring out like what are ways I can connect with people that are doing other things. And in all reality, right, I wanted to be able to make enough money that I could be able to be on my own and not have to worry about what other people were doing. And over time, what really happened for me was I kind of jumped down that shiny object train. I had a really hard time with focus. I still even do to this day. And really what happened was I bought every product under the sun you could imagine for every type of industry, whether or not that was learning about e-commerce, drop shipping, building social media brands, building Facebook groups, going out there doing local marketing for businesses, whatever was out there, blogging, like I was learning about it. I was so intrigued by everything that I thought I could kind of siphon some of that energy by interviewing people that were doing all of those different things. It was kind of a way of me being able to figure out how do I, go and interview all these people doing all these different things. I can kind of be in their little worlds, but still kind of siphon it into one thing. The problem was that I wasn't making any money doing my podcast. It was kind of broad in nature. It wasn't very exciting. And I said, you know what, I need to figure out something else that's going to be kind of a combination of passion. I'm excited about building it, and all at the same time, I'm making money doing it. And I ended up actually taking one of the things that I'd had some success with. I had gone out, and I'll actually show you guys. I built this site called Skull Clothing, and I went through many iterations of this site, but I went out and I built this website and started selling these products where anyone would go and buy them. I would earn a little commission from Amazon. And I had some success with it. It was starting to make like, a few $100 a month. And I was like, why don't I teach this to other people? So I actually went out and I made an online course that showed people how to do this very step by step. Like, here are all the things you can do to go out and build this, just like I did. So the first month I put that out there was in 2014, and I made $1,000 on a platform called Udemy. And I was like really realizing, hey, I'm onto something. Like, I can go out there and start doing this. So I went freaking bananas. Like, I absolutely went nuts on this Udemy platform. You can see I now have like over 100,000 students. I went and made over 40 courses. And I just pretty much just started spilling out all the information of all the things that I was doing. The problem was that I was really struggling to figure out, like, how do I make enough money with this? Like, it wasn't consistent enough. It wasn't enough money that I could quit my job. I was able to get to a point where I had a lot of these courses on other marketplaces, and I was bringing in around $2,000 to $3,000 a month. But overall, it wasn't always consistent every single month. Like, throughout the middle of the year, my income would kind of decline on some of these sites. So I guess where I was going with this was I started learning a lot more about this, and still somewhat being prone to the whole shiny object thing. I decided to take like a couple of my courses, like one or two of my really good courses, and put them out there. And throughout the last couple of years, in 2015, 2016, I actually ended up working for a couple of e-commerce companies, again, which I hated, working for someone else and kind of being a slave to what they wanted. I was always providing suggestions and trying to offer, hey, here are ideas of how you could do things. And I didn't really get a whole lot of reciprocation in terms of like taking the ideas that I put forth and then actually applying them into their businesses. So I ended up hating that. I was able to have some success going out there and getting clients and doing some local business stuff, but I wasn't like super passionate about it. I really had a hard time getting very excited about the work that I was doing, even though I was making money with it. And where it really came back to for me was kind of creating these courses. And all throughout that, I did dabble in some other full-time jobs. I worked for a digital marketing agency for about a year. And, I kind of watched how the owner like ran his business. And I guess this is really where a lot of this is kind of coming into play for me, was that, I saw this person that had a family. He had a nice house. He lived in an expensive kind of town. He had a wife. He had one child and another on the way. And he was running this business where he had about 7 employees. He had to pay for the office. He had to be there every day. He was constantly struggling with like problems and issues and all these things that were coming up, trying to reinvent the wheel of how they would approach the whole business in terms of helping their customers. A lot of people that were leaving as clients. I remember he had like a week where like 2 or 3 people left, and they were like $1,000 plus a month paying clients. And I was just like, man, like, I know this business stuff is hard, but like, I don't want to live life like that. Like, that just doesn't seem exciting to me. And I knew that if I could make enough money that I could just get out, get on my own, and not have to be in a position where I had to work for other people, that would kind of be my happiness. Like, if I could spend a good chunk of my time just playing video games, like that was something that was exciting to me, and something that made me happy, then I wouldn't really give a shit about anything else. So that was kind of my goal, right? And from 2016, I decided to get out there and start connecting with people. I went out and I messaged like all these people that were doing similar things as me, selling courses, doing online marketing, all this stuff. And I ended up finding someone by the name of Paul James, who we ended up launching several products together. He kind of taught me some advanced skills around doing webinars and some other things, and we became really good friends. And throughout doing some of these webinars and really taking my courses to the next level, I was actually able to bring in well over $50,000 in additional income. Now, where that's left me is, I'm kind of in this position where I've had this up and down happiness of like, I'm self-employed and I've got this stuff figured out, but I've had a struggle trying to keep consistent income from some of the things I've been doing. And that's somewhat the challenge with entrepreneurship. That's kind of what, Becker was saying in this video, is he talks a lot about how this entrepreneurship thing isn't for everybody. And I know even for me, I've had some struggles trying to figure out, like, is this really what I want to do? Like, sometimes I think to myself, man, maybe it would be easier to go back and work a regular job and just get a paycheck. Like, I see my wife go to work every day, and she just works, and, she has problems at her work. She has bosses that are, shitty and stuff like that. And in general, though, like, she goes to work, she gets her paycheck, she comes home, and, she can just do whatever she wants, and, like, that's it. Like, she's content with that, and she's happy with it. And for me, I constantly have to be kind of on my own pulse. Like, if I don't work, then I don't make any money. Like, I have to really, kind of motivate myself. And that's been something that's been very difficult for me. I've always been used to having bosses and people telling me what to do and guiding me in a direction. And entrepreneurship, you don't have that, right? You have to kind of figure it out on your own. And the reason I was mentioning some of this personality stuff is I kind of mix into a couple of these temperaments where I've got this really like motivated personality on one side, and I'm like really goal oriented, and I love doing like tasks, and I can set out like for the day, hey, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bang it all out, and I'm, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to nail this, and this project, I'm going to get it done, and I can really hit something hard and have success building that. And while on the other side of things, I'm super lazy, and I love to just like sit around and do nothing and play video games all day. So those two personalities, they're literally just tackling each other, fighting each other. And I guess for me, the way that I've kind of looked at things is I noticed, throughout all last year, I was spending a lot of time on Facebook. And I'll even just show you guys, I can't even show you because I blocked my newsfeed on Facebook. I was going to pull up my newsfeed and show you. But when I go on my newsfeed, I was doing it on my phone a lot. I blocked it on the desktop, but I was going on my phone a lot. And I'd see these guys that are like immensely successful online. Like they've got like the really nice cars. They just seem like they're living this magical lifestyle of like dream life. They're in the 2 Comma Club and ClickFunnels and all this stuff, and they're having so much success. And I'm kind of going like, I'm looking at them, and you see some of these guys, they're posting on Facebook like every damn day. They're getting people riled up and excited, and they're selling shit and whatever they're doing. And I don't know, I kind of looked at it all and I was like, that shit doesn't make me happy. Like I don't really want to be posting on Facebook every day, trying to build an Instagram or trying to do blogging or whatever it is. Like that stuff didn't really get me excited, even though I knew that a lot of these guys are making some money doing that, being very social and kind of riling people up, getting them to buy into whatever it is they're offering and all that crap. I wasn't excited to buy it. Like I was like that guy who I'd rather be typing an email and sending an email to some people who follow me versus trying to rile people up on Facebook. So I actually swore Facebook off this year because of some of those problems. And I really thought about, what are the things that make me happy, right? Like I have a car out there I bought brand new in 2016. That was the first car that I ever bought brand new, like off the lot, 0 miles. That was kind of a milestone for me. It's a little Volkswagen GTI, which is basically for this type of car. It's like a high-end sports car. It was over $25,000. I was able to put a good probably $3,000 to $4,000 into like upgrading the exhaust and putting a car tune on it so it's faster. It's much significantly faster. It's got a really nice stereo system in it, and that's enough for me. Like I don't really need the Ferrari. And in reality, I realized like I'm not even really driving the car that much. Like I could have $1,000 car and I'd probably be fine so long as it could get me through like our nasty winters here in Massachusetts. And then I thought about some of the other things that I have, right? Like I bought this house that I'm living in now in 2013, and I got a smoking good deal on it. I paid $125,000 for this house, which is like nothing for a house, especially in Massachusetts. If you go look at real estate in Mass right now, if I even look, like I'll even show you guys how crazy this is. If I go in, this is the town I live in, Methuen. If I do a search for real estate here, and we're going to do a filter, I just want to give you guys some idea. Like, let's just say 90K to 300. And I'm going to filter this. So there's barely anything here, first of all. We've only got 24 homes. And if we do sort by lowest price, so this is a condo townhome in what looks to be not a great area. Like, I mean, it's okay, I guess, for what it's 2 bed, 1 bath, $184,000. So I bought it like this amazing time. And even some of the other ones, like this is one that's $200,000. It's a house. It's got a garage, but it's only 2 bed, 1 bath, and it's not even 800 square feet. Like, do you know how small that is? Here's another one, 800 square feet. Very small. And the first one we get that's even reasonably sized, let's like look at this one. I almost guarantee you, if I get into this one's actually not bad in the inside. So this one's pretty good, but you can see like I was able to get into something very inexpensive. It basically put me in a position where I was able to go out and I don't have a lot of monthly bills. I literally pay my mortgages barely, it's like barely $850 a month. I pay for my internet. We don't even have TV. We don't pay for cable. I pay for electric. There's a condo fee here, which actually covers the water and insurance on the building. It's only $150, so it's very cheap. And beyond that, it's just paying for food and a couple other bills like gas and the water's included with the condo fee. So literally for under $2,000 a month, I can get by, and anything I make beyond that is for fun money. So what I did is I started putting money into this place. I redid the paint, like these walls. I did new floors. We just redid our kitchen floor. That was like a $4,000 project. I had my driveway paved last year. That was $3,000. So all the income that I've been making online, kind of allowed me to do a lot of this. And I didn't really feel like, yeah, I'd love a bigger home, but, I'm actually pretty happy with where I'm at. And I was able to save from doing like the webinars and some of the other stuff I've done over the past year. I was able to save over $60,000. Now, I know for some of these guys, you see these entrepreneurs out there that have made like $1 million, but because of the fact that I sort of have this whole split personality thing where I'm kind of like lazy on one side and motivated on the other, I've been spending a lot more time playing video games with friends of mine online. I have a friend who he's in the military and he was gone for a year, actually like flying helicopters and doing crazy stuff. And he came back and now he's back. He's got his computer set up and everything. And we've literally every single night we'll play video games at like from 6 o'clock to like 10 o'clock. And that makes me really happy. Like we're hanging out. I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm doing things and I'm not sitting here grinding away. And sometimes even during the day, I'll like load up a game and just play it, And that kind of to me was like what makes me happy. My wife is the same way. She loves playing games. She's got some internet buddies that she plays games with. She'll come home she's in her own world gaming. And I'm able to do the same thing. Sometimes we'll have friends over. We'll all play games together. We'll chill out at the computer, at the TV. We'll play Mario Party or all these other games. And that's the kind of stuff that I realize actually makes me happy. So I guess the point of all this was that I know some people, they get into entrepreneurship and they think like you have to go buy, to become an entrepreneur, like you need to go like buy the Ferraris and have like some immense, success. But to me, like that really wasn't my view of all of this. I just wanted to be able to make enough money that I could pretty much sustain a fun lifestyle where I was going to be happy doing the things that I enjoy, which for me was actually playing a lot of video games with my friends. That was something that made me really happy. To Becker's point too, something he talks about in this video, and I know I've kind of just rambled on here, but for those of you who are listening to this point, I definitely appreciate you sticking around. Hopefully some of this stuff has been cool. But something he talked about was that he loves building, and I actually realized we probably have pretty similar personalities, is that when it comes to anything I've done, right, I actually have another little sports car in the garage. I enjoyed the process of taking that from buying this little $2,000 sports car to literally pumping over $20,000 worth of car parts into that over a span of time and seeing that get built and seeing it become something much bigger than what it was. I love the idea of buying this home for $125,000 and seeing the whole house transform, seeing all the carpets come out of it, seeing the walls get painted, seeing the floors get done, seeing the driveway get fixed, seeing our backyard get a fire pit in it and have a nice wall, and all these other things that we put time and energy into, and just kind of building. So when it comes to entrepreneurship and just life in general, I kind of look at everything as how can I build it into something that I want that's going to make me happy. And I realize that that's little stepping stones. And when it comes to entrepreneurship and just all this stuff in general, that's really what it is, right? You're not going to have overnight success. I don't give a shit what any of these sales pages tell you. All the stuff that I've worked on, whether or not I was building online courses, working with local businesses, trying to go out there and do something that you're going to build into something bigger, it was all like tiny little steps and pieces to get to that point. And throughout all of that, there was immense amounts of failure. But at the same time, there was also lots of success. I was able to connect with many people through my journey. I was able to make thousands of dollars selling products that help people start businesses. But at the same time, I had so many things that I've done. Even last year, I went and tried to start a software company with some strangers that I never knew. And we spent all this time working on it, and the whole thing we just ended up dropping. And we never made a single dime. And I literally spent hours and hours talking on the phone, working on projects, brainstorming, all this crap, and it literally led to nothing. So I guess the whole reason I wanted to put this video out there was I kind of related to what Becker was saying. And, I've seen him kind of jump around doing the whole shiny object thing a little bit too. And while Becker, very truthfully is very much more successful than I am, I know that he's literally spending, he'd spend like my entire entrepreneurship life savings in a matter of days on his advertising. But for me, I was pretty happy with where I am. And in fact, I am fairly happy with where I am. I just wanted to get to a point where I could be in a position to do more of those fun things and not, spend all of my time trying to work, grind, do all that crap, right? That was where I think for a lot of people, if you could get to a point where, let's say all your debt was paid off, you had a nice home that you were comfortable living in, you had enough money to, be able to support your own family and do the things that you love to do and spend more of your time doing that. For me, I didn't want to build this big company and have all these employees and all this fucking responsibility. I just wanted to be able to wake up whenever I wanted, choose how to live out my day. Like if I wanted to play video games today and not do any work, like I wanted the decision of having the ability to do that and it not adversely affecting my life. And I think with where I've been able to get myself in the position I've put myself in, with the amount of money I've saved, everything that I've done up to this point, I've successfully really done that. Now, that isn't to say that I still have bigger goals. Like I actually have a board up here where I have a vision board where there's an $80,000 car that I'd love to buy. I have a huge house on here in Austin, Texas that I put down. It's like a $700,000 house. But in reality, like I don't really need that fancy car. I don't need that fancy house to be happy. Those are more just like bigger goals of things that, if I keep moving forward in business and doing this entrepreneurship thing, yeah, there's bigger opportunity. But I think in reality, it was more coming down to what are the things that I enjoy doing most and how could I get myself in a position so I could spend more of my time doing that and not just grinding away and working for somebody else and being really unhappy doing that. So anyway, this is kind of a long rant. I will give you guys some honest feedback. I spent a lot of time last year working on a product that I put out 4 years ago. I spent all this time like revising it and figuring out like how could I make this a better product. And ultimately I found that I was having a really hard time selling it for where I could put money into advertising it and making that money back. And it really discouraged me. But I realized there was something else that I'd worked on that it was much more simplified in terms of delivering the product. I put a lot of time into the software tool that I built in 2017 and 2016. And I realized it was something that solved a big problem and I could help a lot of people. So I made a simplified training that kind of went along with that software, and I created a whole new product. And I put that out there last year, I think even the year before now, it's 2019. And I teamed up with Paul James, as I said, and I've actually got a webinar that we both put together. We put a ton of time and energy into putting this together, and that product is on the back end of that. So for some of you guys, if you're interested in learning about, what are some of the things that I've done to really go out there and make some of this money in probably the shortest time possible. I'm not saying it's going to be like this, overnight success you figured out in a month, but it's something where you could go and tackle this for several months and you could start bringing in some clients, making some money relatively quickly, without, going and blogging for a whole year or doing something else that's going to take like God knows how long to even start profiting from. Going out there and actually taking a look at this product that I put together, I think would be beneficial for some of you. So I actually invite you, if you check the link below in the description, I do have that masterclass that I spent a ton of time on. Invite you to go check that out. And if you guys have any questions for me, any feedback on this video, definitely let me know. Leave a comment and I'd love to hear what you have to say.